Okay, so today we're diving deep into ancient Egypt. I mean, a civilization that lasted, what, over 3,000 years? From around 4300 BCE right up until Rome took over.
It's an incredible span, and our goal really is to figure out what was the core mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
how did they sustain that, how did they achieve such endurance and build those monuments.
Right, it wasn't just luck.
Definitely not.
Mhm.
I think the foundation, you have to understand, it's politically complex. You get these strong centralized kingdoms, but then also these intermediate periods where things fragment a bit.
Okay.
But the starting point, the big achievement, is that unification under King Menes, or Narmer, same person probably, that kicks off the old kingdom. Stable rule.
The Pyramid Age.
The Pyramid Age, exactly. That's where it really takes off.
So, okay, stability comes first, but 3 millennia, that's a long time to keep things stable. The Nile, obviously, everyone points to the Nile.
Of course.
But just adapting isn't enough, right? What was the specific, genius move there? How did they turn this huge annual flood, which could be destructive, into the engine of their economy for thousands of years?
Yeah, that's the crux. It wasn't just about surviving the flood. It was about mastering it. And the pyramids, they weren't built just on muscle. They were built on predictable grain harvests. Accountants, almost.
Okay.
The key technology, surprisingly simple but effective, was basin irrigation. They built these earthen walls and embankments.
There's pools.
Sort of, yeah,
Yeah.
to trap the floodwaters.
Mm.
But crucially, they also trapped the silt, that incredibly nutrient-rich soil the Nile carried down from Ethiopia.
Ah, fertilizer, basically. Delivered free every year.
Exactly. Free fertilizer and water. This meant massive and, importantly, reliable agricultural surplus.
Mm-hmm.
Wheat, barley, year after year. Consistent.
That's surplus. That's not just food. That's wealth.
Yeah.
That's resources.
It's everything. It's the currency that frees up labor, which gets us back to the pyramids.
Right, because the common idea is slaves, right? Millions of slaves dragging stones.
Well, the evidence actually points elsewhere. It suggests a highly organized, paid workforce, paid often in provisions like, bread and beer rations, good quality stuff too.
So effective resource management from that guaranteed grain surplus meant they could fund this massive, skilled workforce, not just brute force.
Precisely. They could allocate resources effectively to move, over 2 million stones for just the Great Pyramid? It's logistics on an epic scale, funded by grain.
Okay, but even with a skilled workforce, how are they cutting granite? You mentioned their tools were copper.
Right, and that's the fascinating technical problem. Copper is, it's much softer than granite. Your tools would just buckle or wear down instantly.
So they couldn't just chisel away at it?
Not directly with copper on granite, no. They overcame this limitation not with better metal, but with physics. Specifically, abrasive power.
Abrasive power,
Well,
like sandpaper.
Kind of. But think bigger scale. They use copper saws and tubular drills. But the actual cutting wasn't done by the copper edge itself.
Okay.
They used a slurry, a wet mixture containing finely ground quartz sand.
Sand.
Yes, because quartz is harder than granite. So the copper tool basically just provides the motion, dragging this quartz sand slurry back and forth, or around in the case of a drill. It's the sand doing the grinding, the cutting.
Wow, okay, that's clever. Using a harder natural material with their softer tools.
Extremely clever. And it allowed for incredible precision.
And that precision, it wasn't just in the stone cutting, was it? The alignment of the Giza pyramids.
Oh, absolutely. Near perfect alignment to the cardinal points.
Yeah.
North, south, east, west.
Which implies pretty advanced astronomy, not just good builders.
They had to be elite astronomers. You can't get that alignment by accident. They were likely using observations of the northern star to lay out these massive structures with incredible accuracy.
So you see this link building.
Yeah.
The river, the food, the labor, the engineering, the astronomy.
It's all interconnected. State functions and science were, basically inseparable.
Good.
Take their calendar.
The 365-day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A reliable solar calendar. Why develop that? Primarily, again, to predict and manage the Nile cycle.
Okay, how does the sun connect to the flood?
Well, the crucial link wasn't just the sun, it was a star. The annual inundation, the flood, correlated almost perfectly with the heliacal rising of Sirius. That's the first day Sirius becomes visible just before dawn after being hidden by the sun's glare.
They called it Sopdet, right?
Sopdet, exactly.
Yeah.
That rising marked the Egyptian New Year. It was the signal the flood is coming. This wasn't like just religious observation. This was vital state planning. Taxes, agriculture, labor deployment, everything timed to that celestial event linked to the river.
Their whole system aligned with the cosmos, literally.
Literally.
Right.
Which makes it interesting when you look at historical debates where things aren't so precise, like the Exodus story.
Right, the biblical narrative. From the Egyptian side, there's no direct record saying Moses led the Israelites out, is there?
No, there isn't. No non-biblical Egyptian text directly corroborates that specific event as described. However, archaeology does give context. We know there were large Semitic populations living in the Nile Delta, especially in the east.
Like the Hyksos.
Exactly. The Hyksos were Semitic rulers in the Delta during the Second Intermediate Period. Their expulsion around 1550 BCE was a large-scale displacement of Asiatics from Egypt. So the context of Semitic groups and potential conflict or expulsion exists.
But not the specific Exodus story.
Not specifically. And then you have the critical counterpoint, the Merneptah still.
Okay, what's that?
It's a victory monument from Pharaoh Merneptah, dated to the late 13th century BCE, around 1208 BCE, and it explicitly mentions campaigning in Canaan, outside Egypt. Crucially, it lists Israel among the peoples or places he subdued there.
Israel. Already in Canaan in the late 13th century.
Explicitly named. Israel is laid waste, its seed is not. Now that phrase suggests Israel was already a recognized settled group in Canaan at that time.
Which really challenges the traditional timeline for a mass exodus from Egypt happening right before that, doesn't it? If they were already established in Canaan.
It significantly complicates it, yes. It suggests the biblical Exodus narrative is likely more complex than a single historical event at a specific time. It's probably a powerful theological narrative, consolidating perhaps centuries of experiences, memories of servitude, migration, cultural identity formation into one foundational story.
So a story weaving together different historical threads, maybe?
Very possibly. It reflects a deep cultural memory of Egypt, but maybe not a single datable event in the way we sometimes think of history.
Fascinating. It brings us back to that tension between, say, the state's narrative and maybe a different reality, like with the gold.
Ah, yes, gold. To the pharaohs, it was divine, the flesh of the gods, symbolizing the eternal, unchanging power of the sun god Re.
They used it everywhere, right? Burial masks, coding obelisks, state propaganda, basically.
Absolutely, it projected immortal power. But here's the final thought for you, the listener. Despite this immense symbolic, religious, and state power invested in gold, what actually happened? The historical and archaeological reality is that Egyptian gold sites, even royal tombs meant to be eternal, were consistently, relentlessly looted. Often not long after they were sealed, the gold was melted down, reused, put back into circulation.
So the eternal flesh of the gods wasn't so eternal.
Exactly. The divine symbolism, the state propaganda, it ultimately couldn't stop the practical realities of history, economics, and, well, human nature. The divine metal was melted down by mortals, a potent reminder that even in a civilization obsessed with eternity, the present often finds a way to overwrite the past.